Hi, this is Harvey Hook, and today we're going to be talking about multiple relationships. Hey yo, so in this video we're talking about multiple relationships, and depending on where you are at in your dating journey or your relationship journey, you might have decided that that's what you want to do. Regardless of where you're at, I think this is the kind of stuff that it's really useful to kind of understand and learn, because the same thing you apply to managing multiple relationships, you just apply to like being in one. And the reason why I say managing is because for some people, they kind of feel like it's managing. Like it's like, hey, it's time management, it's this management, it's how to actually connect with someone management. But in this video, I'm going to be giving you 4 different kind of, I guess, strategies, ideas, things that you can kind of apply to your love life depending on where you're at. Because that's the thing, like, why do people have multiple relationships? They have multiple relationships because they're not quite sure what they want, you know, so they're just playing the field. They have it because they're actually genuinely interested in unfenced relationships. They're in that place because, you know, they can't decide and they're just figuring it out. Like, depending on what you're at, it's like we don't want to judge this, you know, honestly, because it's worse than anything else. Like, if you judge yourself for wanting that or being part of that, all you're going to do is perpetuate problems and pain and kind of make it a bit more worrisome. So in this video, with these kind of 4 mindsets, basically what I'm going to be doing, they're mindsets and strategies and just little different things. What we're going to be doing is making this whole process a little bit easier for you. And as again before, if you're already in a relationship or if you're interested in one person, it's the same shit. So I have this belief. How we manage one thing is often how we manage other things. So it might be, for example, your fitness. You know, it's the same thing that will get you success in your fitness will often be the same things that get you success, for example, in your relationships. It's being in a good place, it's feeling good things. And so with these mindsets, these are going to deliver you to a good place to give, I guess, like you're planting a seed to give the relationships that you potentially want or you're figuring out the best chance for survival, so that way you can have the best options, the best possibilities for you to potentially grow into whatever the hell you want it to be. So the first idea is the concept of relationship style. Now, if you've worked with me one-on-one, you will have found this, that I will hammer this into your head. And that is very simple. We have to define what kind of relationship style you want. So, for example, right now I'm wearing a t-shirt with stripes and, you know, the scarf and stuff like that. That's my style. If I was to change it, I could change my style tomorrow. Now, generally speaking, when it comes to, say, for example, fashion, people generally have a sense of style, like a range, you know, stuff that we like and stuff that we don't like, and we kind of play with what's in the middle. And same thing with relationships. It's down to your style. Now, what I find most people do is when they get into figuring out their relationships and their love life is that they have a preconceived idea. Now, these preconceived ideas can be from television, from movies, and from our parents. Now, I just want to point this out there, that trying to follow one of these preconditioned styles is kind of like a fool's game. Like, for example, you and your parents trying to create the exact same style that you have been taught and seen in your parents, regardless of if you've liked it or not, is a fool's game, because you cannot possibly ever create that style because they're fundamentally different people. Even technology changes. They've got different values, beliefs. Maybe you've been raised exactly the same way. You still have different fucking DNA. So you're essentially a different person. So you have to create a style that's unique for you. Now that's the whole kind of, this is a really kind of like a pre-framing one, but it's very important to recognize this, that's the style. So the style might be that you want an unfenced relationship, meaning an open relationship. It might be that you want multiple partners. It might be that you don't. It might be that you just want the option. It might be that you want someone to love you for the rest of your life, or it might be that you want someone to love you just for the rest of the night. Whatever it is, it has to be your style, and you have to recognize what that is. If you're trying to create something that is not what really matches with you, and you'll know, like by listening to this, you'll know, you're like, oh my God, I've been chasing the wrong thing, or oh my God, I've been chasing the right thing. You'll know because when you're creating the right style, it just feels in alignment with you. And this is what I often find when I work with someone, like maybe they've been chasing something that they've kind of like realized at the end of our program that they're like, oh my God, that's what I've been doing the entire time. And at the end, they kind of realize, hey, wait a second, I get to create my own. And that's the beauty, is you get to decide. You get to decide, even relationship style. Kids, no kids. Career focus, no career focus. Do you live together? Do you don't? Do you have pets? Do you not? All of this is still a style. How much do you see each other? What emotions do you share? It is through the trial and error as the process of love and dating and all this kind of stuff that you figure out your style. Now the second thing is make sure you're fully with them. So regardless of if you're seeing one person, multiple people, this is why I said it can be applied for multiple things, is that whatever you do, if you're half in, and you're gonna fuck it up. If you're with someone, make sure you're fully with them. Now you can do little things, for example, like if you're with them, don't talk about other people that you're with. Whatever you need to do to actually make them feel like they're the person that's in your life. Because if you're seeing multiple people, here's one of the worst things you can do to someone. If you've honest, right? And that's gonna be one of the points that I talk about here is fucking honesty, right? But if you're being honest about the relationship that you're in, if you're seeing multiple people, not from a lack point of view. So when I say lack point of view is that you're afraid to kind of talk about the fact that that's what you want. If you're doing it from an abundance mindset where you're kind of okay talking about it, you still want that person to kind of feel like they're important to you. Because otherwise, why the fuck are you there? It's like they're there for a reason, you're there for a reason. You might as well just play into that. Like let that allow itself to like blossom, and when you're connecting with that person, realize that it's about you guys. Like if you're seeing multiple people, often one of the best things you can do to make that person feel unappreciated is tell them about the amazing date you had with someone else. You know, you can do that. If that's your style, then great. But if that's not the style, you just got to pay attention to the other person to really appreciate what makes them feel special. Because it's the same thing. Whether you're with one person or multiple people, make that person fucking feel special. If you're not doing it, why are you there? And the thing is, when it comes to style, again, relationship style, this comes down to the person. For some people, making someone feel special is just about, noticing little details. For someone else, making someone feel special is like just letting them do their own shit and letting them having a whinge every time, they want to have a whinge. It's down to the person. That's why we call it a style. Now, thing number three is no relationship is better than the wrong relationship. And so I say this because if you feel like you're trying to replace parts of yourself with someone else, or you're trying to potentially make something happen, or you can't find the perfect person, you can't find the perfect partner, so you see multiple people that kind of compositely put them together. If you're doing it from a place of lack, so I mean, when I say lack, I mean from a place of you're trying to fulfill part of you that it was your responsibility to fulfill. For example, the question is, who's responsible for your happiness? Some people get into relationships because they want to be happy. But if we ask the question, who's responsible for your happiness, and your answer is me, not me, Harvey, but you, the person watching this video, then the answer will be that if you're responsible for your own happiness, then really the relationship that you'll have is going to be a reflection of your happiness. If you come into a place of lack where you're trying to get something from someone else, it's almost like you're trying to get to a drug dealer. They have their drugs, and then you're like, please, give me some love. I want some love. And then one day they stop giving it to you because they fucking had a limited quantity. They were meant to give it to themselves. And so this is where the cliche love yourself first comes from. It's learning how to give it to yourself, learning how to become unconditionally, not in love with yourself, but feel love unconditionally with yourself and feel happiness unconditionally. When you do this, the relationship becomes a reflection of your happiness, not the source. And when it's a reflection, it becomes one of the, I can't possibly describe the joy that you'll go through when you go through this motion and you realize that this is just how it's been and how it's always been, and you've always been in control. Now, the last thing is only you decide what you want and need. You're going to watch videos like this and someone will say, this is kind of good, better than that. And truth be told, sure, I'm an expert. Sure, I've, dealt with these kinds of things in, many different countries and many different people and things like that. But at the end of the day, even when I'm coaching people, for example, I'm helping them discover what's unique for them. And you can get advice, you can listen to these things, you can read, send this text message, and that will help to an extent. But the ultimate way of truly helping yourself through any relationship situation, anything, multiple people, one person, whatever, is realizing that only you really decide what you need. You decide what you want. We talk about this with relationship styles, but this is more. You decide what you need to be looked after, to look after yourself. But overall, one of the best things that you can do for yourself is honestly just the idea that honesty is the best policy. And that comes down to understanding the depth of your emotions, the depth of what you want, and just getting in touch with that. For example, if I find often relationships can only be a reflection or go as deep as how do I say this? They can only go as deep as much as you're willing to go deep. For example, if you're afraid to talk about fears, then that's where your relationship stops. You know, if you don't have any fears, then great. But if you're afraid to talk about fears, then that's where your relationship stops. If you don't know how to talk about deeper parts of what you want, for example, like what you want in a relationship, what you want, who do you want to be, what parts of your life, what do you want to achieve, if you don't know how to articulate those, then that's where your relationship stops. And so this is what we call honesty, but we can also call it transparency in who and what we are as people. And so if you're seeing multiple people, make sure not to fucking hurt people. You know, don't try and hide what you're doing and all that kind of stuff just because you think someone's not going to like you. Remember, if you can feel unconditionally happy, then that's not going to be an issue because it won't necessarily worry about, oh, but if this person doesn't like me, then I'll be alone. It's like, you'll be fine if you're alone. But what's more important is that you always leave people off better off than how you found them. You know, if you can't do that, then don't do it yet. You're just not ready for it. And whatever you're trying to do, if it's multiple people, one person, whatever, if you're coming from a place where you need something more than you're giving, or that you can't just fully love, or there's something holding you back, then that's the part that needs to be established first. And you can look at this through other parts of life. You know, you can practice love in your workplace, for example. You can practice love in your fitness. You can practice love in having pets. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be through someone. And most importantly, it doesn't have to be through any external means. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you did like this video, make sure to leave a like, because if you did, then I like you. And make sure to subscribe for more videos like this, because if you do, it fucking shows me that this is good. And also, if you did, make sure, if you don't subscribe, I'm gonna abolish, I'm gonna get rid of baguettes. If you don't subscribe, I'm gonna ban baguettes from the planet. So thank you so much, and I'll talk to you next week.